Hello and welcome back to Minecraft. It's been a little while since I've been here. I took a little bit of a break after we went ahead and finished our starter area in the last one. Going forward, we're going to be working on a new project, which is going to be over here. And that is going to be setting up a village so that we can finally get properly geared up and do some of the important things like beating the Ender Dragon. Just across this bridge is where we're going to be setting up this village, and we've already got a village up there, but I want to move it maybe a little bit closer and maybe start on building the village a little bit more down here and stretching it further. This area is a little bit of a mess though, so we're going to have a lot of terraforming and planning to do, and that's pretty much what this episode is going to be about, is getting started and getting prepared for actually building this village up. Before we do that, though, I wanted to show you guys what I've been up to while I was gone. So I wanted to get a few things done while I was gone, and the main thing is I wanted to update this skin here. As you can see, it's kind of basic and it's not very good. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on here. And you can see in my inventory, a little bit more of it, but it's not very good. This is the first skin that I've ever made and I was never really happy with it, but it was just something to kind of get me going while I got started playing Minecraft with my partner. So during my break, I decided to go ahead and bite the bullet and learn how to use Blockbench so that I could actually make a good skin. Let me put that on so I can show you guys the new skin. Here we go. Here's the new skin. It's got a lot more detail going on, and I feel like it fits into the Minecraft world a lot better. You can see it a little bit better in the menu here. I've got my beanie on and everything. It kind of looks more like my channel icon. The only thing I didn't do was add the streaks in my hair just because it looked a little bit busy on the skin and I wasn't super into that. Additionally, while I was gone, I decided to go ahead and add a few resource packs. So you'll see here that I've added the one for more minimal armor so I can actually see my skin when I'm in here. I believe that this one will have trim show up a little bit as well when I get to the point where I add trim, so that'll be really cool. The other thing that I've done is add the lower shield resource pack. And this is so that you guys can see while I have the shield on, because otherwise it takes up such a huge part of the screen that it's kind of hard to see what's going on. And I want you guys to be able to see while I'm also being able to protect myself. The last one that I went ahead and added was the one that removes the overlay when you have a pumpkin on your head. I find that really disorienting to look at while I'm playing the game, and I know eventually I'm going to want to use that pumpkin head probably when we fight the dragon. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that one on because it makes it an easier experience for me and it'll make it a lot easier for you guys to even see what's going on during that. Because if I have that huge pumpkin overlay, it's going to make it kind of hard to see what I'm even doing. The final thing that I did was I got new art for the thumbnail. Since we're going to be in a new area, I figured that it was only appropriate to get that done so that we have something new to look at, and it kind of helps separate the old area and the new area and make it clear that we're doing something completely different. I know I haven't talked about this before, but all of the art assets that are on my channel are drawn by me by hand. I use Paint Tool SI to do everything, and I have a pen tablet that I use to draw with. I hope you guys think that it's a good touch, and hopefully it helps kind of separate the sections so it's easier to figure out where you are trying to go while watching episodes. And that's it for updates, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I came up here to kind of look around. I'm thinking a lot of this I kind of want to level. I don't want this to be massively hilly like it is. It's kind of almost mountainous with how high some of this goes. And I don't really think that I want that. I think I want it to be more of like a slight slope, how it is over here. And so I feel like I'm going to have a lot of terraforming to do over here. And it looks like some cleanup as well, because I've got things like lava pools and stuff like that. So I'm going to want to get rid of all of that too. The good news is it looks like there's a lot of areas over here that are kind of hollowed out, so that should help a little bit. Over here is where the original village is, and I do have some of them blocked into their homes because I didn't want them to get killed by anything. I know that there's a few iron golems over here. Oh, it looks like we got one running around still. There's definitely a few iron golems running around, but they don't always fully protect them, so I just wanted to make sure that they were safe in here. I think the place to begin will probably be to remove some of these structures that are up here that don't have villagers in them and start leveling everything down. Because while I don't want this to just be a huge flat island, I do want it to kind of be shorter down so that you can see the whole village from one area instead of it hiding behind like this giant hill where you can't see these from over there at the bridge. So I suppose I'll sleep first and then we'll get started ripping everything down. The first building's down, and it's made me realize that, boy, we're gonna need to make some chests to set some stuff in. I think I need to make myself a little bit of a spot to kind of drop everything off because I'm not gonna wanna run all the way back home every single time. I think for now I'm going to use one of these little houses down here as kind of a base of operations. I think I'm going to go ahead and put some chests in here for all of the stuff that I'm picking up and clearing. For now, I'm just going to start small with 2 chests, but I did gather quite a few oak logs from that building, so if I need more, I can definitely make more. Now it's time to take this building down. Now that this one's gone, we just need to get rid of the cleric's building from up here, and then we can start bringing down these levels. Now the only thing left up here is my bed. Just because my inventory is so full, I need to head back down and drop some of this off, and then we're going to start flattening. It feels like just about every single animal on the island has come up here to see what we're up to. Maybe they approve, maybe they don't. But we're still going to bring it down. I have taken down 1 layer, and look at how full our inventory is already. Oh boy. My inventory is already full. And I'm not even halfway through the second layer. We're going to get a lot of resources for this, which is definitely not a bad thing. Having all of this extra dirt is going to help quite a lot in the future with any kind of terraforming that we might want to do. So it's hard to be upset about that. I suppose I could keep all of the dirt up here because we're definitely going to have tons and tons and tons of it. I think at this point you guys get the idea of what I'm doing, so I will bring you guys back when I have some more significant progress to show you. I'd say it's about time to check in with you guys. I've been working pretty hard. We've got like a bunch of stuff in all of these chests over here. I had to start another dirt chest and I had to make a stone and cobble chest. Nothing's in this one yet, but I did manage to catch an extra villager in there, which is why I'm using this log to get into my chest because I have this blocked off so he doesn't get killed. And I've been making a lot of progress. We've gotten quite a few layers down, but this is going to take a while because number one, it's a lot of stone and stuff to mine down. And it's also getting wider as it extends towards these other areas over here that I'm going to need to mine down. Overall, though, it's going quite smoothly. We're almost down to this area here, and this has been, I think, about 5 or 6 layers that I've brought down so far. As you can see, my tools down here, they're getting kind of beat up. So I'm going to have to go figure out what I'm going to do for that. Some of them I might be able to repair with diamonds, and then others I might just have to completely remake. Since I don't have mending on anything, as you can see, I don't have access to just bringing them over to my skeleton spawner and repairing them that way. I have to do it kind of the manual way where you either repair them with, diamonds and an anvil, or you repair them with like another pickaxe or another shovel, whatever, might be end up being cheaper. Like in the case of this, using a shovel might be cheaper, but in the case of this, it might be cheaper to use just diamonds or whatever. Some of these, they might have been repaired quite a few times, so I might have to actually just completely remake them, which will require me to re-enchant a little bit. But once I have those, I'm going to continue working on this, and I think my first goal is probably to get them on the level of this house over here. So let me go see how many more layers that is. Let's see. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I think 5. Yeah, 5 more layers I'd like to bring it down before I start kind of looking to see if that's far enough down from other angles and stuff like that. I know I definitely don't want it this high here, so I think we're going to go down another 5 layers on here and see what it looks like. Woo, it's finally done. Oh my goodness. This took quite a while, but it was worth it. It's very flat up here. Obviously, we're going to have to do some terraforming and stuff. I'm not even sure if this is the right level, but this is kind of where I wanted to do my height check at. From up here, this looks like a good level, but I'm going to go down to like some of these smaller areas and see what it looks like from a distance, especially the bridge that we approach at. I think that would be a good place. And then probably over on this side as well. I think after I do a quick sleep, that'll be the first thing that we do. So I'm starting off with a height check from over here on this side of the bridge. That's going to be where the village is. I feel like that's a pretty good height. It's more of a hill than a mountain. Definitely the terrain needs some help here. It's kind of chewed into and everything, so that needs to change, but I feel like this is a pretty good height, and I can always add a little extra height here and there if I need it. I think I'm going to head out and look from maybe this side next. I'm checking it out from this side now, and yeah, I do think this is probably going to be a good height. Again, we need terraforming because there's giant chunks like this that look a little bit silly, but I do think that's probably a good height. I don't think I need to bring it down any further. If anything, there might be some areas where I want to bring it up a little bit, but I've gathered plenty of blocks for that, so I think we're doing really good on that. I think our next step is going to be to finish clearing off this island. I don't want any of these houses or anything in my way so that I can make my own plans and kind of figure out where I want everything laid out. That does mean that I'm going to need to take the time to relocate these villagers because I don't want them just roaming around and potentially getting killed. So I'm going to need to make an area. I'm thinking maybe somewhere over here where I will temporarily house them and keep them safe. And then it'll be time for me to clear out all these houses, clear out all the lava pools and stuff like that that are kind of in weird areas, as well as the little bits of extra trees that are left, stuff like that. Might even consider making a little fenced area for some of these horses because there's a lot of really cool horses on this, and I kind of don't want them to run away or get killed or anything like that. So I might make them a temporary enclosure and then maybe later on make them a permanent enclosure. We'll have to see. We finally have all of our villagers safe. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. We'll definitely need to have them reproduce so that we can get more villagers in the future. But for now, we're just going to keep them safe in here. Um, this area is just right across from the village. I made a little path so that it was easier to get them over here. And we're just going to hold on to them there while we're building. There's torches in there. And they did spawn an iron golem. So I think if they get scared, they'll continue to spawn them. And those will protect them out here and everything like that. So I think that'll be fine. Now I've got to clear up all of these different structures here. This one has a bunch of our chests in it, so I'm going to clean everything but the chests up, and the chests will just kind of be hanging out while we're working on stuff. But we have a lot of different buildings and structures to go ahead and pull down, so this is going to take a second. Let's get to it. It's already starting to look much different over here. We've got 3 buildings down. There was one here, one there, and one over there. And so it's starting to look much more clear now. I think we're going to continue with these 2 buildings and then this little marketplace area and get those cleared out as well. And it looks like I somehow missed a villager in here, so I'm going to have to figure out how to get him over to the safe area as well before I tear down his home. All right, now finally, all of the villagers are in there. There was one in that house over there, and then I found a sneaky one in the second floor of the cleric's building. Not entirely sure how he got up there. I wasn't aware that the villagers could climb ladders, but maybe he spawned up there and couldn't get down. Not sure. Either way, both of those two are in there now. The village is really starting to clear out now. We just have a few more buildings and then a couple of odd things over there that need to get taken care of. But it's starting to really look good, and pretty soon we'll be able to actually start figuring out what the terraforming is going to look like. The rest of the village is completely gone, including that farm over there and the cow pen, all of the little decorations, even the building that we were holding our stuff in is gone now. I also got rid of the walkways here and kind of cleared out some of the terrain underwater for that. Now we can actually boat down through this area right here if we want to, and it's not got a little tiny gap there that's hard to get through. So far, I think what we've done is kind of the easy part. Getting rid of everything is definitely going to be the simple part of the job, and now we have to start planning out what we want to do here. We're going to have multiple directions that we want to be able to see this village looking good from. The first one's probably from this way, since we tend to leave that direction to go towards the mangrove swamp over there so we can gather mud and stuff like that. And then way over here, on this side is where our bridge is, so we want it to look good from this side too. I'm thinking we're going to consider this the main entrance on this side rather than on that side. I know the village was over there originally, but I think we're going to move the start of it over here instead. So I think to get started with the terrain, I'm going to fill in some areas like this water here. There's a couple of lava pools. I might also start to flatten down some of these weird bumps in the terrain and fill in chunks that kind of sink in and look really weird as well. And then we might kind of go from there and see if we can kind of see where we want the landscape to go. I went around the island and I did a few minor things. I filled in some of the smaller holes that I know I'm not going to want, as well as getting rid of all of the lava that was pouring out of areas or in giant pools. And now I think it's time to go ahead and start the actual terraforming. I only have a few things in mind that I for sure want to get done. I know that this is going to be the start to the path, and I want it to lead all the way over to the other side of this island. I have a few buildings that I want in specific areas. For example, I'm going to want some kind of like a forestry over here for my Fletchers. And maybe somewhere over here, I want some kind of a fishing hut for, the fishermen. Other than that, though, I'm kind of guessing as I'm going, and I'm going to just kind of do what I think looks right and feels good. I don't have an insane amount of experience with terraforming, but I'm going to try my best. Terraforming on this scale, though, is going to be quite boring to follow me all the way through, so I will come back intermittently with a little bit of progress to show you kind of my thoughts and how things are progressing. Okay, it's been a few hours and I've made a little bit of progress over here. I wanted to come back in with some of the wool that I brought over and start laying out a little bit of a plan here because I'm getting a little bit confused and lost on where I need to go. So, first I'm going to start off with just kind of placing some of this wool here to kind of signify that there will be a path that goes through here. And I'm thinking in this area, kind of right here, there's going to be some kind of maybe like town square or something like that. Just some kind of ornament, maybe a statue, something like that to go there. And I'll go ahead and I'll mark that with a sign. All right, so here's some of the ideas. A water fountain is of course an option as well. I'm not really sure, but something here. And then from here, we're going to have a path that goes this way. And this is going to lead us over here to where we're going to be building some kind of a forester hut or a cabin or something along those lines. And we're probably going to put some trees around it. And this is where our Fletchers are going to live. And the reason I'm keeping a bunch of question marks is because things could change. I'm not 100% set in stone. This is just kind of my initial thought process, but I'm thinking something like that would go over here. I left a lot of room over here. I'm thinking we might want maybe 2 different buildings because I usually find Fletchers to be the most useful for getting extra emeralds, and They kind of lock out of trades very quickly if you're getting a lot of wood, so we probably want a good handful of Fletchers here. Now, if we kind of head back over to the town square, we're going to kind of go up this way. And I have a plan to kind of make this kind of extend up towards the top from there. I think that would be a good path to lead us up to the top. Down over here, though, off to the side, we're going to want some kind of a path that leads over here. And I'm thinking that this is where we're going to have our farmer and some of our farmers' field. So we've got that in place. And there's a little bit of a stone wall over here that I have kind of roughed out. It'll hopefully look better when I'm done with it. But down here, I was thinking since this kind of leads from the entrance, we want something that's kind of pretty here. And I'm thinking maybe some kind of a garden would go here, maybe a custom tree or something like that. I think something like that would be really good here. Just some kind of extra detail here. We could maybe even put in a little bit of a fence or something. I'm not entirely sure. But this area, I think, would be really nice to kind of welcome you when you come in. So right when you come in from like over here, you can see like something really decorative and pretty, and then it'll lead you on the way to the other areas. Now, I'm not entirely sure on pathing yet, but I have thought of adding something over here. So for now, I'll just go ahead and place this over here. But this is going to be some kind of a area for our fishermen. And also somewhere maybe for the butcher as well. I don't think we need an entire building just for the butchers because I don't think I'm going to be using them that often, but I would like to have the option to access them. And of course, right in front of there, we're going to have to do some kind of a dock. And this is where our fishermen will come and fish for the day, things of that nature. I'm kind of thinking of making something a little bit longer here and then have maybe one or two docks that extend out. Might be interesting. Nothing quite set in stone, but just a thought process for now. From the path that leads over to our foresters, I had this idea to bring a path over here so that we can put the stonemasons over here. I wanted the stonemasons to be kind of closer to the ground. I don't think it makes sense to have them way up top because hauling all of the stone and everything that they're gathering would be kind of difficult to do at that height. So I thought having them down here would probably be our best option. And then maybe from there, we could have some kind of a very ragged path that leads kind of this way towards this mountain, as if we're gathering the stone from over here, I think. Because way over here, it is quite stony over here, and there's a lot of stuff here. So maybe we could build something small eventually over here that kind of tells that story, or just simply have the path that kind of leads out this direction. I think laying out all of these paths and these little blocks that tell me what we're going to do there is definitely going to help me to continue to terraform. I still have a lot to do, but I feel like this is helping me kind of confirm what my plans are and also tell me what else I still need to do and where I need to kind of go from here. So let me put this wool away and continue with some terraforming. I think the first pass of our terraforming project is done, and here are all of the supplies that we got from that. Just a few chests full of stone and a few chests full of dirt. I used a lot of the dirt for the actual terraforming, so that's why there isn't nearly as much of that as there is stone. Then we've got some of our blocks here that we got. Some more blocks, all of our wood that we got, flowers and extra bits and bobs here, and some more bobs here. Not too shabby. This was a very large project. I kind of got lost in it while working on it, mainly because I wasn't feeling super well this week. But I think we're in a good place to continue placing some of our wool and setting up the areas that we want to plan for in the future. I think we'll go ahead and continue up this path here that leads to the top of this hill. I know we're going to want to continue this path this way. And I'm thinking in this area here, I think this is actually going to be the town center. We talked about the town center down there, but I don't think that's exactly where we're going to place it. I think we're going to put something up here, and then down there will probably be something smaller, like a statue or something like that in the middle of the path. But I think this is a much bigger area where we can put the bell and stuff like that. And since this is going to be kind of our town square up here, we're going to have some of our main buildings up here on top of the hill. Over here, we're going to probably want to put some kind of a tower. I'm thinking of having the cartographer as well as the cleric over here. And it's a bit hard to see from up here, so I'll come down here to show you, but I've decided that I want this to kind of be more like a cliff than a hill. So it's got more of an area here. And of course, this is just a basic kind of concept of this. I still need to work on this and make it look nice. This was just me kind of experimenting to see if I could make the shape of it. So this will change in the future. It will get more detailed and stuff like that, and, just look a little bit better overall eventually. From the tower up here and back towards the center, we have some more areas that we're going to do. And from here, we're going to continue over here. And this will be the first of a couple of buildings that are going to be for our librarians. Instead of just doing one giant library, because I need a lot of different librarians with a lot of different books, I'm thinking of doing a couple of smaller buildings up here. And these are not going to be libraries, I don't think. I think libraries are the most common thing that people do because it makes sense since they're librarians. I was kind of thinking of doing something more like an academic house or a college or a university or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, so we'll definitely have to come back to the idea. All right. And then we're going to want two more of these buildings as well. I'm going to try to split them up into 3 different houses because I think it would be better overall and make it easier for me to find the ones that I need. So over here, there will be another one. So we've got that there. And then the last one will be branching out over onto this one over here. So we'll have a path that heads kind of this way as well. All right, I think that's mostly what we're going to want up here. Then the last path that we need to make from the town square is going to be straight this way. And this is going to lead down here to this other area where the village originally was. We're going to have a bit of a curving path that goes this way, I think. And over here in this area, I want something for our weaponsmith, toolsmith, and armorer. So something like a blacksmith will go here. I think this would be a really good place for that. And then we will continue kind of over here. And this is going to be more of a textile area, which will be a place for our shepherd and our leather worker. I think that about sums it up on the buildings. Our final path will continue down here and lead over to where there will eventually be a bridge over here that leads across, because we do walk this way. So we'll just mark this with the idea of a bridge. And that'll lead across here. I think for now, that's kind of the basics of what we want to do here. There's a lot of things that we're going to have to add in between these buildings, decorative things like trees or parks or places to be, stuff like that. I don't want it to just be a handful of buildings and that's it. Over here there's another one of these plateau areas that I did. So the other one is like way over there. And then we have this one here too. This one's much larger. I think as we start to get these buildings in, we're going to start to be able to see how much more room we have to plan for anything extra that we want to add here. There's a lot of little places that we'll be able to add stuff in that'll be kind of blank, so I think those will be good areas to practice making tinier little POIs, just little tiny places of interest that we can look at as we go around. Overall, though, I'm really happy with the way that this island came out. I'm sure some of it will change as I'm building and working on these projects. I don't think this will be 100% what it looks like in the future, but I think it's a really good starting point to get progress made on, and I think that's really all that matters for a big, huge project like this, is to kind of have a plan. I know that this episode hasn't been nearly as exciting as some of the other episodes that I filmed, but this was a really important and necessary one. I really didn't want to just walk into this project with no idea in mind and just kind of go for it like I did over there with the starter area because it was kind of hard to piecemeal things together. I wanted to have a bigger plan for this since this is a much bigger project, and these buildings might look a little bit silly if they're cramped together, kind of like the vanilla generated villages do. This is, of course, my very first massive project like this. I have never done something like this before, so I have no idea if this method is a good method of doing things. It's kind of just me trying some stuff out and seeing if I like it. Excuse me, Mr. Horse. And maybe it'll give anyone watching some ideas on how to get started on a big project like this, too. I know that doing such a huge, massive terraforming project can be incredibly intimidating. I know at least for me it has been. But getting kind of this start in here and then realizing that I can refine it later has kind of taken a lot of my anxiety and nervousness for this project down. And it's made me really excited to go ahead and start putting buildings in the next episode. I think that's going to be it for this episode this week. We did a lot of planning and a lot of terraforming, and I appreciate you guys coming along with me to see how I'm getting it done. In the next episode, I'm really hoping to make some progress and start getting some of these buildings coming in, maybe even getting some more planning done if there are things that I need to iron out along the way. If you made it to the end of this episode, I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you again.